are ideas which can be counted, such as woman, continent, diagram, or issue. These can be either singular or plural, as in women, continents, diagrams, issues. Uncountable nouns are nouns which cannot be counted because they are not individual items. Some common examples of uncountable nouns include water, information, work, equipment, music, comprehension, joy. These are uncountable because we cannot add a number or numerical value to them. So while we can say a woman or 3 women, we cannot say a joy or 3 joys or 3 homeworks. We have to find different ways of quantifying these nouns without changing the actual noun. So we say a glass or 2 glasses of water, not 2 waters, or 2 pieces of equipment rather than 2 equipments or an equipment. Pronouns act as substitutes for nouns, and there is a pronoun that can be used in place of any noun. The noun for which a pronoun stands is called its antecedent. Let's look at this example. If you use a quotation, you must indicate it. The pronoun it refers to quotation, which is its antecedent. Like nouns, pronouns fall into several categories, and some even fall into more than one category depending on their function in a sentence. Personal pronouns stand for a person or thing. An indefinite pronoun does not refer to any specific person or thing and therefore has no antecedent. Pronouns that end with self or selves are called reflexive pronouns, and they are only used when they refer to a noun or a pronoun used earlier in the sentence. So, I washed the car myself. Myself refers to I. Sharon washed the car herself. Herself refers to Sharon. It would be incorrect to say Sharon and myself washed the car, as myself doesn't refer to anyone previously mentioned in the sentence. A reflexive pronoun is also called an intensive pronoun when it emphasizes a noun or pronoun that directly precedes it. For example, Marlon himself was sure his sister was successful. Pronouns are also identified according to the function they serve in a sentence. If a pronoun acts as a subject, we say it is used in the subjective case. If it acts as an object, we say it is used in the objective case, while if it shows possession, then it is used in the possessive case. To distinguish the cases, just remember, subjects carry out actions in sentences, objects generally receive actions. Just as when someone laughs at you, you are the object of his joke, or if someone lavishes you with love, we say you are the object of his or her affection. The same thing happens in a sentence. Objects receive the action. We can fit any subject pronoun into this simple sentence. Hugged Michael. Object pronouns receive the action. So if the sentence takes the form Michael hugged, any of these object pronouns would fit. My, mine, your, yours, his, her, hers, its, or, ours, their, theirs are known as possessive pronouns. And like nouns in the possessive form, they show ownership. Unlike these nouns, however, possessive pronouns do not use an apostrophe. Possessive pronouns are very easy to use. Use my, your, his, her, or their in front of the noun. So it is their computer. If no noun follows the possessive pronoun, use mine, yours, his, ours, or theirs. So the computer is theirs. Now that we have identified the various types of pronouns as well as the pronoun cases, there's one thing you must always remember. Pronouns must agree with their antecedent, which is the word or words that the pronoun is substituting for. If the antecedent is singular, the pronoun must be singular. In this sentence, Joshua is waiting for his brother. His is a substitute for Joshua. Therefore, Joshua is the antecedent. Joshua is singular, so we must use a singular pronoun. Joshua is also masculine, so we must use the correct masculine pronoun his instead of her. It would be incorrect to say, each of the boys has their supplies. Why? Each is singular. Therefore, we must use the singular pronoun his. And the correct thing should be, each of the boys has his supplies. Two pronouns that often cause confusion are who and whom. When using who and whom, just think about whether or not you are referring to the person who does the action, the subject, or the person who receives the action, object. When referring to the subject, use who. When referring to the object, use whom. Example, who is responsible for this mess? Subject. To whom did you mail the letter? Object. Steel is the component that strengthens a wall. In the same way, verbs can be regarded as the backbone of a sentence. Like nouns and other parts of speech, verbs are categorized based on their function. A verb may express action or a state of being. Action verbs like jump, dance, chat, chew, think, say, and stomp are verbs that indicate physical or mental activity, an action that someone or something can do. In the sentence, they bought groceries. Bought expresses a physical action performed by the subject. In the sentence, they remembered all the items. Remembered expresses a mental action. A state of being verb usually just shows that something exists or tells us about something that is, which isn't likely to change. State of being verbs are usually considered linking verbs because they link the subject of the verb to the rest of the sentence which talks about the subject. In this example, puppies are playful. The verb are is a state of being verb because it tells us something about puppies that is and isn't likely to change. It also connects the subject, puppies, with the rest of the sentence. Whether it expresses action or a state of being, when a verb carries most of the meaning in the clause in which it appears, it is described as a main verb. Tanya reads well. The main verb is reads. Tanya is reading well. The main verb is reading. Other main verbs function as linking verbs. Linking verbs do not express action, neither physical nor emotional action. Instead, they connect or link the subject of the verb to parts of the sentence which usually give information about the subject. The most commonly used linking verb is the verb to be, which is also a state of being verb. Its various forms include am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, shall be, will be, has been, have been, had been, shall have been, should be, would be, can be, could be, should have been, and any other form ending in be or been. In addition to the verb to be, other verbs often used as linking verbs include feel, smell, taste, look, seem, become, appear, remain, grow, sound, stay, pleased. Example, the tourists are pleased with the resort's offerings. She seems hungry. The soup tastes heavenly. Joan looks friendly. Joan is a student of my school. The verb to be also belongs to another group of verbs called helping verbs or auxiliary verbs. To be and to have are helping or auxiliary verbs because they can be used with a main verb to express progressive tenses. They complement or complete main verbs. Example, mother is cooking dinner. Is complements the verb cooking. The picture was painted by my brother. Was complements painted. Other auxiliary verbs are can, could, may, might, must, need, ought to, shall, should, will, and would. There are verb forms, often mistaken as complete or main verbs. These are known as verbals. These special forms of verbs may act as adjectives, adverbs, or nouns. Verbals include participles, infinitives, and gerunds. When the ing form of the verb is used as a noun, it is considered a gerund. Example, eating is not allowed in class. Eating is a gerund or a verbal noun. In the sentence, Mark loves swimming, swimming is the verb form that is considered a noun. When the ing form of the verb is used as an adjective, it is considered a present participle. For example, these are my walking shoes. In this sentence, the verb walking is used as an adjective. Having built our wall, we may decide that it looks better bare or paint it in our favorite color. Whichever color we choose will serve to describe the wall. Even bare can describe it. And together with all these colors and a host of other words that describe things, we have the part of speech known as adjectives. Adjectives, therefore, are descriptive words. Adverbs, too, are descriptive words. And the best of us sometimes confuse adjectives with adverbs. They both modify or give information about other parts of speech. Adjectives, however, only describe nouns and pronouns. Adverbs, on the other hand, describe verbs, adjectives, other adverbs, complete phrases, clauses, or entire sentences. Let's examine this in more detail. An adjective modifies a noun or pronoun by limiting or specifying its meaning. It tells us what kind, as in red barn, interesting book, or cracked glass. It tells us which one, as in that notebook. It tells us how many, as in 8 dozens, or it tells us how much, as in too little. An adjective may appear before the noun or after the noun that it describes. For example, she is a pretty girl. Here the adjective is used before. The girl is pretty. The adjective is used after. How suspenseful this movie is. That suspenseful movie was very popular. The movie is suspenseful. Just as important, when pronouns or nouns perform this function of limiting what a noun means, they are regarded as adjectives. For example, possessive pronouns like my, or, your, his, their act as adjectives when they modify the noun. My kitten. In this case, we refer to them as possessive adjectives. Demonstrative pronouns like this, that, these, and those can also be considered demonstrative adjectives. These bicycles. Even possessive nouns like possessive pronouns can be used as adjectives. For example, Lucy's report. And any noun that modifies another noun can be considered an adjective. Leather shoes. Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. They answer the question when, how, where, to what extent or degree, or how often. In the sentence, we are heading to the party now. We have an adverb which answers the question when. When are we heading to the party? No. Likewise, in the sentence, it should arrive Saturday. When will it arrive? Saturday. In the sentence, he dances well. Well modifies the word dance by answering the question how. He dances very well. We have already decided that well tells us how he dances. What does very do? Very tells us how well he dances, but more specifically, It gives us an idea of the extent to which he dances well. He dances very well. We will remain here after dinner. Here answers the question where. Even without my alarm clock, I always wake up on time. Always answers the question, how often? When an adverb modifies an adjective or another adverb, it usually comes directly before the modified word. This road is dangerously slippery. The adverb dangerously modifies the adjective slippery. They answer too slowly. The adverb to modifies the adverb slowly. When an adverb modifies a verb or a verb phrase, it may be placed in various positions relative to the verb or verb phrase. The classroom is now ready. Now the classroom is ready. The classroom is ready now. Let's look at adverbs that compare. Some adverbs have different forms to indicate their degree of comparison. The comparative form of an adverb compares two actions, while the superlative form of an adverb compares more than two actions. Some adverbs form the comparative and superlative irregularly. For example, little, less, least. Far, farther, farthest. Negative words can also act as adverbs. The word not and the contraction n'(t) as in don't and won't are adverbs. Other negative words can function as adverbs of time and place. Prepositions and conjunctions. Joints and connections are part of the strength of every wall. Likewise, in a sentence, there are two parts of speech that serve this function in different ways. A preposition shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and the other words in the sentence. I will look at two of the primary uses of prepositions. A preposition can tell where one item is in relation to the other, as in the case of these prepositions. The pearls in the vault are priceless. In shows the relationship between the pearls and the object of the preposition, the vault. Here is a gift for you. For relates gift to the object of the preposition, you. Prepositions can also indicate how items mentioned in a sentence relate to each other in time. I will go to the movies before dinner. He sat still during the entire presentation. Conjunctions provide another type of link. They connect words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. We can distinguish three types based on the relationship they establish between the items they connect. Coordinating conjunctions like and, or, but, nor, for, so, yet connect words, phrases, or clauses that are grammatically equivalent. In the sentence, we could choose curry chicken or baked fish, or links two nouns. Or in the sentence, he is the leader of the people, by the people, and for the people, and links three prepositional phrases. Subordinating conjunctions like since, because, although, if, after, when, while, before, unless introduce a dependent or subordinate clause, connecting it to the main or independent clause to form a complex sentence. The subordinating conjunction shows the relationship between the clauses. In this example, although teenage pregnancy is a serious concern for parents, many parents are afraid to discuss sex with their children. Although in this sentence connects the dependent clause, the part of the sentence which on its own makes sense, with the independent clause, the part of the sentence which cannot comfortably stand alone. Correlative conjunctions are used in pairs to link grammatically equivalent items. The following are frequently used correlative conjunctions: both, and, either, or, neither, nor, whether, or, just as, so, not only, but also. Look at this example. Either the editor of the newspaper or the assistant editor will contact the photographer. Neither the manager nor her staff will attend the conference. Both the juniors and the seniors are in. The Mayfair tickets are sold not only to students but also to staff and parents. Interjection. There is one more building block that you will encounter in making sentences. It doesn't appear very often, but when it does, its presence is unmistakable. An interjection is a word or phrase usually accompanied by an exclamation mark. These words express sudden emotions. Interjections have no grammatical connection to the other parts of the sentence. Note very well, interjections may be set off in a sentence by commas, but for greater emphasis, they are usually punctuated as independent units set off with an exclamation point. Now that we know the basic tools used in making sentences, we can move on to bigger things. Just as a wall is one part of the whole building, which may be a house or a skyscraper, so is the sentence the basic unit of the paragraph, essay, or story. Join me as we explore these topics later in the series. Going to spend some time looking at one area of grammar that gives the best of us trouble, subject-verb agreement. Before we get into the matter of agreement though, why don't we quickly have a look at how we identify the subject and verb in a sentence. Verbs serve two primary functions. They name an action that is carried out by a person or a thing, as in jumps, skip, put, went, sweep, did. Every year, he jumps higher than any other athlete. The children went to school on Saturday. At about 3 in the afternoon, I skipped for at least 15 minutes. Verbs also express a state of being. Is, am, are, was, were, have been. For example, I am hungry. He is better now. She has been there before. The subject of the sentence is the person or thing which carries out the action. And the best way to find out the subject of a sentence is to ask yourself, who or what carried out this action? Every year, he jumps higher than any other athlete. Jumps is the verb. Who jumps? He does. Therefore, he is the subject. From the sky came huge drops of rain. Came is the verb. What came? Rain. Therefore, rain is the subject. Sometimes a sentence will have two verbs, one of which is the main verb. Look out for verbs which follow to. These are called infinitive phrases, and they can either come before or follow the main verb. He wants to sleep in the sofa. The verb which follows to is sleep. This is the infinitive verb. The main verb would therefore be wants. Who wants? He does. He is the subject. They hope to qualify for the football team. The verb which follows to is qualify. The main verb would therefore be want. Who wants? They want. They is the subject. Sometimes the subject in a sentence is not directly stated but is implied. This can easily be the case when a command is given. Bring that inside, please. The person who is carrying out the action is not mentioned, but who is being asked to bring something? If you guessed you are correct. The command is being directed at an unnamed you. Word to the wise. Be careful of a subject which comes before a phrase with of. we tend to think the noun is closer to the verb, as in the following example. A team of volunteers join the delegation next month. The verb is joins. The subject will be before of. The subject is team. The team joins. Now we can go on to look at the rules of agreement. The most important thing you can come away from this lesson learning is that subjects must agree with their verbs. How does this happen? Well, subjects can be either singular, one, or plural, more than one. One boy, more than one boy. One child, several children. Verbs can also be singular or plural. However, unlike subjects, plural verbs do not take S. It is the singular verb in the third person which does this. I sing well, first person singular. We sing well, first person plural. You sing well, second person singular. You sing well, as in you all sing well, second person plural. Third person singular. He, she, or it sings well. Third person plural, they sing well. When two subjects are joined by and, use a plural verb. Gina and Patrice eat out regularly. Kindness and fairness are two valued characteristics. When two subjects are brought together with either or, neither nor, use a singular verb. Either Richard or Dwayne is responsible for the project. Either the principal or the vice principal presents the prize to the top student each year. The same is true for when two singular subjects are connected by or by nor. A pen or pencil is in the bag. But if there are two subjects, one singular and one plural that are connected with either or, neither nor, the one that is closer to the verb determines whether it is singular or plural. Either Margaret or the boys have the pencil. Boys, which is plural, is closer to the verb. Therefore, we use a plural verb. Either the boys or Margaret has the pencil. In this case, Margaret, which is singular, is closer to the verb, so we use a singular verb. Neither the teacher nor the students know the culprit. In this case, students is the plural subject, and it is also closer to the verb than teacher, so we use the plural verb. Neither the students nor the teacher knows the culprit. Here the reverse is true. Teacher is singular, and it is closer to the verb than students, so we make our verb singular. The same rule applies to or and nor. Carlton or his friends sit under that tree. His friends or Carlton sits under that tree. A collective noun names a group of people or things. It is generally treated as a singular noun since it deals with one unit. So we talk about a team or a class, generally speaking. It is treated as one unit, though it is made up of several persons or things. The choir sings well. The team has an excellent reputation. The office staff is highly efficient. There are times, however, when these collective nouns fail to work together and decide to act as separate individuals instead of as a unit. In such a situation, it is appropriate to use a plural verb. I'll give an example. The family takes a trip every year. Here, the family acts as a unit. The family take turns washing the dishes. Here, the family acts as individuals. Each individual has his own turn. Sentences with there is, there are, or here is, here are can be tricky. Since there isn't a subject, look after the verb to find the subjects. There are some candy bars in the jar. There is a candy bar in the jar. In the first sentence, the subject is candy bars, several of them, so we need the plural verb. In the second sentence, we are talking about only one candy bar, so we must use a singular verb which comes after the word there. You may be familiar with a group of pronouns called indefinite pronouns. They are placed in one of three possible categories. Always singular, as in somebody, nobody, anybody, something, nothing, anything, someone, no one, either, neither. They may be always plural, as in several, both, many, others. Look at these examples. Each of the students has his own book. Everybody deserves a second chance. Either of the girls stands a good chance of winning the competition. Both of the girls stand a good chance of winning the competition. That's simple enough, isn't it? Let's look at the tricky ones, the ones which can be either singular or plural. Any, most, none, some. Look at these sentences. All of my book was soaked through when I spilled the water. All of one book or the entire book was soaked. We use a singular verb because we are, after all, talking about one book. All of my books were soaked through when I spilled the water. All of several books were soaked. We use a plural verb to reflect the fact that we are talking about multiple books. Most of the roof was damaged in the storm. We use a singular verb because we are talking about one roof. Most of the roofs were damaged in the storm. Because we are talking about several roofs, we use the plural verb were. Another area of subject-verb agreement that sometimes gets in our way comes in the form of phrases that come between the subject and the verb. Don't be tricked. The verb agrees with its subject, not the nouns or pronouns that come in between. The child with all the toys does not get enough attention. Remember, the strategy we learned earlier still holds. Find the verb. Does. Who does? The child. Make sure the two agree. While you're on the alert, look out for expressions such as with, along with, besides, including, accompanied by, as well as, in addition to, etc. These also do not affect the subject. If the subject, which comes before any of these expressions, is singular, it remains singular. If it is plural, it remains plural. Howard, as well as his wife, prefers to shop at this supermarket. The boys, accompanied by their mother, regularly visit the aquarium. The movie, including all the extras and bloopers, was hilarious. There are some nouns which are always singular, though they may look like plural nouns. The list includes words like politics, economics, measles, mathematics, news, summons, premises, etc. And there are other words that are always plural, usually because they have two parts, such as tweezers, trousers, shears, panties, scissors, etc. When making reference to sums of money or periods of time, use a singular verb. 20 years is a long time to hold a grudge. Even $10 is a lot of money when you have none. I know I tell you all the time how important it is to practice, and of course, I will say it again. You must practice. But when it comes on to the rules of grammar, you also must know them by heart. Otherwise, you will be unable to apply them. Give it your best shot. Many grammar books not only have exercises, but answers as well, so you can check your work. And there are also many interactive exercises you may do on the internet. Good luck. Have fun. I am Fiona Porter Lawson. Take care.